Welcome to Cox Notes. Today I'm going to have a little bit of fun. This, my friends, is an assault rifle. Well, at least it was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It's one of those scary assault weapons that has a detachable magazine. But I want to talk a little bit about this. Today it could have been a collector's item. Probably isn't, because I wasn't very smart when I was 14 years old. And I'll explain a little bit of that later. But this is a 303 British. Military surplus, way back when. It's got the old style Mauser action on it. It's got a good strong action on it. And a real stout safety. This safety takes some effort. That's the way it ought to be. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this as we go along here. But again, the assault rifle of the past. When I first obtained this British Enfield rifle, it had the original stock on it, which was a full stock extended almost to the end of the barrel. And of course I was a teenager and I had ideas. I had seen several of the 30-06 Springfield rifles sporterized, as it was referred to, and I decided that my 303 had to also be sporterized. Unfortunately, there were not manufactured stocks available to me at the time, so I took it upon myself to cut the end off the forestock and refinish it with the innovative burnt design. Probably ruined the collector's value of this rifle, but the rifle served me well, and I really don't regret what I did. The rifle was purchased from a popular shooter's magazine of the time, and remember, this was before the 1968 Gun Control Act. This particular rifle is the one shown second from the top left column. Notice that the Springfield rifles, the 30-06 Springfields, were also available in this ad, and they're the top two on the right-hand column. Now, before I get too involved in the memories and nostalgia of this particular rifle, I've decided that the remainder of my comments should be done in a slightly different venue. You know, my original purpose of this whole thing was just to talk about this old timer here, this old 303 British. There's a couple of things I wanted to point out, and I'll get to the real reason behind all this in a little bit, but let me just talk a little bit about this. This gun is the first responsible for my first elk, and so it goes back a long way. But I want to talk about it in terms of what happens today. You know, these guns were carried by British and Australian soldiers from the late 1800s until clear through 2 world wars, actually, they served. And when they became military surplus, people bought them up. And one of the big reasons that they bought them up was because they were familiar with them because of their time in the service. And their lives depended on it. So it wasn't real surprising when, after the Vietnam War, when the M16 was used and the AR-15 came out after that, it wasn't surprising that a lot of the veterans and people that were familiar with the M16 bought the AR-15, which was not, the AR was Armalite. It didn't have anything to do with the way they word it now. But so that's the reason they purchased them, and that's the reason a lot of these were purchased. But I got to talking about this, and I wanted to point out a few things about it, and then I thought, what a shame to bring this old guy out of the confines of the gun safe and kind of wipe it all down and look at it. And I started thinking about it, bringing back memories, and I wanted to point out a couple of things. First off, it had a peep sight, rather large aperture on the back, a big peep sight. I don't know if you can see that or not. But the other thing it had was a pop-up sight that had a lot of elevation adjustment on it. I have literally shot and hit a 500-yard target with this rifle by using this. So all that was there. It had the detachable magazine that we talked about, and one of the big selling items for it was you could put 10 rounds in this magazine. 10 rounds, you know. Wouldn't some of the people in the Colorado legislature love that now? So anyway, it's a good old bolt action rifle, and I'm gonna head it down range for a couple, 3 shots just for nostalgic purposes. I'm not trying to impress anybody with accuracy or anything like that. But I want you to keep in mind that, yeah, this was rightfully called an assault weapon at one time. So bear with me a little bit while I just shoot some memory down range. Oh, that sounds good. Let's take another shot at it. Oh, yes, sir. She can still do it. So, I'm not going to stand out here and waste a lot of ammunition. Okay? So, you've been watching Cox Notes. As you know, it's mostly about Colorado, and I'm going to get into a little bit more about Colorado in the future. But for now, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, pass it on, you know, share it with people, and just have a wonderful day, and may God bless you all. Thanks for watching.